Okay, welcome back to another spirit chat on the book of Genesis. I realized that right after I finished recording the most recent video, the one right before this, talking about spirit work and some of the essential information regarding spirit work, I left out some key things. And as I was falling asleep last night and waking up this morning, Spirit said, film another video. So I said, okay, we'll do it. So here we are, it's Venus Day, and I recently learned, which I probably already said, that my chart is ruled by Venus, and I'm super excited about that. So I'm holding some green aventurine, some red tiger's eye, a little piece of copper. So those are some Venus associated stones, or like at least things that I really feel associated with Venus. I mean, like, they are associated with Venus, but they also vibe hardcore for me, which is important, you know? You want the things that you're using to also match up to your energy and your vibrations. But anyway, I digress. So, it's Venus Day. We're going to talk a little bit about protection and some other safety tips, regarding spirit work and getting started with any spiritual journey. So, yesterday we talked a little bit about discernment, about, spiritual hygiene, kind of preparing your space, and there's more to it. So thing one, if you're really just getting started, normally I would say start small, start with your ancestors and your aligned spirits, but also just get to know yourself. Absolutely get to know yourself before you do any spirit work. What traditions are you drawn to? What feels good to you? What feels right? Even if it's not necessarily your ideal, what is it that feels right? So I get led to Catholic things a lot, so much so that I ended up working in a convent. And even though I don't believe in most Catholic doctrine, because I love Jesus, but I don't think he's my savior, but the framework, Catholic framework, the prayers, the whole system of it really works for my ancestors, because I have Catholic ancestors. And so this is a faith modality that provides us both structure, gives us both, possible shared tradition, prayers that we both know. And so that is actually a form of safety on its own. Working within your aligned spaces helps keep you safe. It helps keep you aligned with what is already good for you. So getting to know yourself, getting to know how to, this is a better way to say it, getting to know yourself and how to love yourself, how to have a relationship with your spirit is really the first thing you should be doing. It doesn't, if you had a good relationship with family, or you knew the ancestors that have passed on that you're trying to have an altar for, that's phenomenal. But if you're like me or some other people and you didn't know those people, you didn't know these ancestors, it's really hard to show them genuine love without that heart connection. And the more you get to know yourself and provide them like the basics, the more you'll start to receive their specific likes, their specific dislikes, their interests, and you can build the relationship and the altar from there. And that goes for any spirits. Getting to know them is important, but getting to know yourself so you can understand how y'all mix and align is key. Let's see, what else? Okay, making sure that you are taken care of. So not just getting to know yourself, your own interests, where you feel comfortable, but making sure that you are genuinely cared for. No spirit work should be happening when you aren't mentally, emotionally, and physically, prepared for it. And some of my friends would definitely roll their eyes as I'm saying this, because I am the queen of overworking, undereating, and continuing to move when I should stop. I'm really learning how to slow that down. I took a 20-minute nap today, but you have to make sure you're taken care of. You should never be going to begin any rituals, any spirit work, without having fed yourself first. And this doesn't always mean food. I know there are practitioners who are practicing spiritual fasting on like their born days, on special solstices or other holidays, but you want to make sure that you have fed yourself. So when I go to the altar in the morning, part of my morning routine is prayer, and that prayer is not just connection, it's not just setting the base of the day, but it also is literally feeding my soul. It's giving me something. When I speak affirmations into myself, when I speak like these uplifting statements into myself, that's literally feeding my soul. When I cook a good meal or purchase a good meal, have a good smoothie or some juice or salad, that is feeding me. And on the days that I want something unhealthy, which is often, I'm trying to limit that. But on the days that you want something unhealthy, that can, you know what I mean? Every once in a while we want comfort food. Let your soul have that. Don't beat yourself up for it. Make sure that you're fed, though, and make sure that you're healthy. Speak affirmations into your water. Speak love into your water. Pray over your food with gratitude. Make sure that what is literally going into your body, your mind, your soul is good for you, is supportive of you having a healthy self, a healthy aura, a healthy energetic field. So yeah, physically and emotionally and spiritually feeding yourself. Spirit work can take a toll on your body. If you are a medium, like that's just opening up to your gifts, or if you're a diviner, a seer of some kind that's opening up to your gifts, it's very natural to feel a little tired after you do readings. That's because you're using energy and like spaces that you may not have been before, or using it differently than you have before. And I've learned that as I like expand spiritually and as my gifts open up, the energy usage is greater, the resource exchange is greater. So you know, the deeper you get into this, just like I said the other day, the deeper you get into this, the deeper a sort of sacrifice or requirement is something that comes up. And part of that, if you're dedicated to like, and this is on the serious end of spirit work, not just, you know, light stuff, but if you're really dedicated, like you want to be a priestess or a priest of a deity or something, that can take a lot of energy. They might have a lot to say. Maybe your literal day job is as a medium. You really need to replenish yourself. This kind of work, as I understand it, also wears on your nervous system. You know what I mean? When you get intuitive feelings and you feel it in your arms and your fingertips, the back of your neck, whatever, your nervous system is responding to something. Just because you may not be using or recognizing that you're using your physical senses, taste, touch, smell, all that good stuff, you're also using additional senses. And I don't know exactly where in the body these reside. When I see them or feel them, they're kind of like sensors all over my body. There are spaces that are receiving. You're receiving information that takes energy. It can also like cause you, like I said, not just to be tired, but to be sore. Like physical care is necessary. It's not just cool to do. You're not cool. What's the right word? There's a reason that people who are so deep into their spiritual journey get up with the sun or have a particular routine, who have some sort of physical practice, who make it a point to be comfortable, safe, and grounded within their body and know how their energy is moving in their body and replenishing that physical vessel. And it's because it's necessary, not just because it goes with the rest of the health stuff, like, but because it's essential. And a lot of times that looks like yoga for a lot of people. That's the thing that I see the most. But if you love weightlifting, motherfucker, weightlift. If you love running, go running. Go hiking. I love to go hiking. Like, go swim. Whatever it is that gets you in touch with yourself, your body, and, a bonus with nature that gets you grounded and helps, your lung capacity expand, helps make sure you're getting enough oxygen to your blood vessels, making sure you're hydrated. All of these things will help you in your spiritual journey, will help you be physically and emotionally prepared and mentally prepared for any spirit work. And being safe, being healthy, keeping your immune system up and keeping your mental energy up keeps you less susceptible to any spiritual attacks. Let's not be naive here, even outside of spirit work, because when I say spirit work, I'm talking about you as an individual doing ancestor veneration, possibly calling, doing angel or goddess invocations or evocations, depending on how far along you are in your path and what kind of magic you practice. I'm really talking about working with spirits, or even, if it's a transactional thing, employing them to do some work for you. But in the greater whole of it, your practice is your practice, and all of these tips apply whether or not you just want to work with spirits. So physical health is important. Keeping yourself less susceptible to attacks is important, because there are people who, even through their own jealousy, their own anger, can send you things. There are people who, even if they're not practitioners per se, but they have really strong energy. There's somebody that has a crush on you, you don't like them, they keep speaking things into existence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be together. We have this. You belong to me. You're going to be mine. This is kind of like a weird example, but that's somebody trying to put an energetic tie on you. You regularly keeping yourself healthy and clean helps you not be so susceptible to that, or also to recognize it. But I'm going to use that to segue into the second point here, which is, cleansing, reversing, return to sender, like unhex, all that kind of stuff. Now, one, I am by no means a professional conjurer. I do not offer these things to the community. I do protection work for myself and for friends and family when they ask. But mainly for myself. And I'm very big on home things. I'm very big on home protection, home cleansing rituals, protecting, the car in all travels, keeping the cops away, protecting money, basic stuff like that. So this is gonna be easy peasy home version. So, you can always order something from a conjurer that you trust, that has really good reviews, that your court approves. Fire you all a protection oil, law stay away or keep away oil, things like that. I always recommend, reading Psalm 91 every morning. If your folks are Bible folks, if any of your ancestors was Bible folks, it would make sense. Most of us do have them. Bibles are easy, cheap, and incredibly useful. It's a whole book. But Psalm 91 covers everything. So Psalm 91 is my daily morning go-to. On Sundays, I make spiritual baths, and sometimes I do a bath that uses rice water to as the base. Other times I make a hyssop and rue bath, and I have a small kitchen and just a few pots and pans, so I'm making my hyssop and rue in a metal pot, which my ancestors and I don't love. I really, really, really recommend using as many natural materials as you possibly can: wood, bamboo, ceramic, glass, etc. I make things in the crock pot when I can, but anyway, I have dried hyssop and rue. I recommend getting fresh. As I move into a new space and grow in the future, I'll be growing my own herbs and we'll launch into a whole new journey together. But right now I'm using dried hyssop and rue. I usually like to add lemongrass and rosemary. Sometimes I'll add desert sage. It just depends. So yeah. But you can make a bath. Put the hyssop and rue and a few other things in there. Read Psalm 91 over it, 74, 75, 68. Those are ones that I usually read. You can pick your own. Look for psalms or passages that really are talking about protection, talking about, you rising up, enemies falling away, anything that has you being uplifted and God coming through with that protection. You know what I'm saying? Speak those, read those as you add each ingredient, speak to each ingredient as you add it. As you stir, you could stir counterclockwise during a waning moon and say, my enemies fall away. Stir clockwise during a waxing moon, my protections are built daily. It's up to you. Blend your knowledge into it. Blend your desires into it. But the truth of it is, when you put your intention in there, I am protected, and I have faith that I am protected. And that right there does a lot on its own. Invite your benevolent, loving, supportive, and I mean only your benevolent, loving, supportive ancestors and warriors in your court to add their little juju to that. Tell them to sprinkle their love, their prayers, speak their words over that, and to surround you with that protection as well. So I'll make those on Sunday and usually do the wash on a Tuesday or Saturday. I just like making my baths on Sundays and then using them on the aligned day. I'm sure that that's bound to change at some point, but that's my starting point for making spiritual baths as a baby hoodoo, so you do what works for you. Because I am very much a baby hoodoo. I've done my own practice blends forever, but hoodoo is its own thing and it deserves its own time and pace and journey. So yeah, but spiritual baths, hyssop and rue, Psalm 91, making sure you're healthy and you're fed, those are all base things. Dressing yourselves with protection oils, those are easy peasy things to do. Having protective stones black obsidian or black tourmaline, something like that around, jet or Apache tear, something like that. Those are good to have on hand and to speak protection into for yourself. And you can use those, say you want to ask a spirit to guard you. You could kind of bring that spirit into that stone. I'm not even sure of a good way to phrase this, but anyway, you can put things together. You can mix them up. You can make them happen. But before you do, oh, there we go. Sorry. Last point. Stick with the tradition. Stick with the tradition. Once you know what works for you, you don't need to branch out all over. Some of my, like, most not good experiences have been because I've really tried to stray from my particular group. And for some people, your group might be one, like, particular tradition. Maybe you practice, you know, Lukumi, or maybe you practice, like, Isheshe, maybe you practice Fodu. And so you have a core group. Maybe you are very, like, Roman Catholic and you have a core group. Stick with that core group. Unless your core and your spirits really tell you over and over and over it's time to branch out, stick with your core group. There are endless faces, there's endless depth, there's so much to learn within one pantheon, within one set of things. And as you study the different aspects of the deities within there, when you study the different ways, you know, the cosmologies play out, study everything you can about your system before you branch out into something else. And as you branch into other things, or, you know, if you branch into other things, meet them with the same care. You can't just cherry pick without caring. It's one thing to do something out of appreciation, to say, I learned about this practice from somewhere, I'm modeling my own practice in a way after it. It's not exactly the same. These are just some ideas, and I've tried to learn about every element around it so that I do this appropriately. That's one thing. But to just be like, I don't know, like, that would be like me saying, okay, and this is everybody's favorite example, but it'd be like me saying, okay, like, you know, I love the water, and I'm Venus ruled, and I have a young spirit in some way, so Oshun. I've worked all these other different goddesses, so Oshun. And I know about all these other things, so naturally I know how to. No, you don't, because the time wasn't put in, and that can come back on you. That's very disrespectful to spirits, to just decide, like, you're gonna do something. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good-natured spirits. There's gonna be that handful of times that, you know, actually not even, I think I got lucky a lot. There's gonna be those times that a spirit might cut you some slack because you're genuinely curious and trying to reach out and learn. But being disrespectful, being careless and considerate, and not taking the time to respectfully learn, to seek out elders in a tradition, to give, you know, to give appropriate offerings if that's okay, that will come back on you. That will bite you in the ass. It's just not cool. That's like, you're not going to go over someone's house and, like, grab something out of their house. I'm not going to go to my neighbor's house and take up some fucking milk because I need it to bake with, when I have a store I could go to, or I could Google alternate, like, liquids that can be used. There's always a way to do things safely, correctly, respectfully. So yeah, if you're part of a tradition, stay within that. If you're not part of any one tradition, like I'm definitely a chaos magician. I do my own thing. I'm very mercurial. I do a lot of messaging. I still realized after, a while that I have a core group from a core region. Lots of biblical, lots of like Egyptian and like Sumerian and Akkadian type stuff. Like one main area. When I stick with that area, my life works well. It doesn't matter that I have like lots of Irish ancestry and stuff, and that I have Catholic ancestors. My Catholic ancestors still like it when I stick with this group. Whenever I branch out into adding Celtic stuff, it doesn't really, it kind of flops. It's good for some environmental, it's like some outdoor things, but overall for my faith, it doesn't always blend. So stick with what's good for you. Stick with what's healthy for you, with what's safe for you. Be smart. Don't just jump into things because it sounds cool. And even if you think you have a good idea of what you're doing, please reach out to somebody first. Do a divination. Make sure that this is going to be good for you. Make sure it's going to be healthy for you. If you're interested in something, study it, research it, journal about it. If you're interested in a spirit, get to know them, learn about them, their court, all the things that they rule over, their family members, their consorts. Get to know these things. Get to know cultures, the way prayers are structured, the different words used, because language has a lot to do with how we understand cultural things and how our culture is shaped. Spirit work is something, and any spiritual journey encompasses the whole of the world, the whole gamut of everything. It's not just little pieces. So part of safety and part of discernment is not cherry picking and is taking the time to study. Okay, I'm not going to apologize because you guys must not mind my rambling conversational style because you keep watching videos, which I appreciate. There it is. Okay, but that's it for this one. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Protective herbs. I love to make my own incense, and I always blend frankincense, myrrh, and dragon's blood as a base, like without any change. That's always the base. Sometimes I add tobacco. Sometimes I add a pinch of cayenne pepper, like a pinch, because that stuff is like, it burns. I love adding cinnamon. I add red and brown sandalwood, which is like amazing. And all of those are protective. All of those like lift up the well, I don't know if cayenne is vibration lifting, but the rest of those lift up the vibration in a space. In my mind, they're temple spices. So temple spices and temple herbs really help. Sage is another thing that you can use, but I really think you should research it. Any herb, any spice, any crystal even, research the different cultures that have been using it. Research basically the ethics around it, where it's being sourced from, who it's being sourced from, and what alternatives there are. I'm from the Midwest, and I really, really love and stand by using juniper, pine, lavender, and rosemary. Those are my 4 favorite other incenses beyond the blend that I make, and they are herbs that are fucking phenomenal for everything. Pine needle tea is good for you. Rosemary is just like the witch's favorite. You gotta have it in your cupboard, just like having quartz with your crystals. And lavender, low-key, I think lavender is slept on. Like, no pun intended, because it's great for sleep. But lavender gets slept on. That can really, really invite calm and good into a home. Okay, for real, that's the end. I love you guys, and we'll talk more about protection in a little bit. But we'll talk about protective spirits and doing spirit work doing protection work with spirits in the future. But until then, I love you guys. Stay hydrated, you know what I mean? Drink lots of water or caffeine-free herbal tea. Check your perspective. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. And, just keep growing. Keep growing. Keep going. Keep your head up. We're going to keep getting through, and, we're going to keep getting through, and things will get better. Oh, shit. I hit the Android button on this little thing. Okay, I love you guys for real. Bye.